Hey, you guys, welcome back. My name is Bobby Borg. I'm here to help you turn your art into a more successful business. And I am talking about music marketing for the DIY musician, creating and executing a plan of attack on a low budget. A very, very important part of marketing is execution. Execution is the process of getting things done, or the art of getting things done. And one of the most important things about getting things done is having the money, obviously, to do these things, right? If you don't have any gas in your car, you're not going to get very far. So we're talking about money and financing and getting the funding. So how are you going to do that? I definitely did want to single out this section because I know it's very, very important. So let's talk about some of the things that you can do. And I'm going to talk about literally as many things as I can possibly think of. So some of the best ways to do this, obviously, is through bartering. And that is an exchange of services. Now, I did talk about this earlier. I have a client that is a guitar player that wanted to actually get his music recorded. It just happened that down the street was a producer that had a great studio, also has a daughter that plays guitar, and he was brave enough to go to him and say, listen, I will teach your daughter how to play guitar, but while I'm over at your place, if I can then maybe record a couple tracks, that would be wonderful. It turns out that he bought the deal and he ended up recording, a $35,000 record for practically free. So, these things are very, very possible. If you are a singer, let's just say, for example, and you're trying to get a producer to record you, you might actually let that producer know that you're willing to record his tracks and sing background vocals on that person's track in exchange for maybe recording a couple tracks for free. So there's many, many different techniques that you can use when we're talking about bartering. One of the other things that I wanted to talk about as well is the idea of getting sponsors to pay for it. I'm going to tell you a story about what I did in particular. I recorded a DVD series, kind of similar to this, about the music industry. And I now had all this film put together. And I was like, okay, now what am I going to do with it? So what I did is I said to myself, who is my target audience, right? Musicians that are putting together recordings and getting themselves out there and want to find out a little bit more about the industry. And then I thought, who else shares that same target audience? And I said, wow, a company called Disc Makers also markets to people that are, making records and are putting themselves out there. So I thought maybe there's a way that we can do some sort of cross promotion. So what I did is I contacted them and I said, listen, I will license you the rights to this film, to this content that you can actually use in this lovely DVD that you're going to put together. And you're going to use it as sort of an afterthought product to just say, hey, you guys, thanks very much for using our service. Here's a little bit of a gift to show you how to sell those CDs, right? And as a result, what they did is made 1,000 or 2,000 of them actually for me for free that I was able to then turn around and sell for a profit. So think about how everyone actually wins in this situation. I win because I'm getting access to a customer base from a huge company like Disc Makers, right? Disc Makers wins because they're getting great content that they can give to their customers, and that content is essentially teaching the customers how to sell more recordings so that they order more records from Disc Makers. The fans actually benefit because now they're getting free information that's going to help them get to the next level of their careers. And the great news about all of that is it didn't cost me anything. Isn't that amazing? And you can set up those types of things too. So, that's another way that you can fund yourself. Of course, a modern way of funding yourself is also called crowdfunding. And we've talked about this before. And there's Indiegogo, there is Kickstarter, there's GoFundMe. There's a number of different platforms that you can use. And essentially, that's the process of sort of pre-selling some sort of product or service and getting your fans to invest in you. And that's something certainly that you should consider setting up. My only suggestion about crowdfunding is just be realistic about the products and services you put together and what you're asking from your fans, because sometimes bands put together some really silly stuff like, we'll come play at your house and backyard barbecue. And I go, yeah, but what happens if you live in LA and they're from Maine? Now you're going to have to do another Kickstarter to get to Maine, right? So, be practical about this and and really think it through. Another way that you can get money, obviously, is just to use your own and to save your money. You know, the Small Business Administration says that the majority of small businesses, would you believe, will actually use their own money to invest in the startups of their own companies. So certainly don't be afraid to invest in yourself. You know, if you're fortunate to have some savings and you want to get your career and life to the next level, don't be afraid to invest in yourself. Another thing that you can do too, and this is a dangerous way, I call them the devil credit cards, is you can use a credit card, and if you have 4 people in a band and maybe everyone has a $2,000 balance, everyone maybe get a cash advance on their credit cards and then cut up the credit cards and never use them again and pay it off. I mean, that's another way that you could do it. So I mean, there's so many ways that you can actually fund yourself, and hopefully these provided some inspiration. I've got some funny ones to say as well, but I'm not. I think I'm going to refrain from saying them on here. But you know, in LA, I guess you can always go get a sugar daddy or a sugar mommy to pay for it. But I take that back. Don't do that. It's not good. Bad karma. So my name is Bobby Borg. I'm here to help you turn your art into a more successful business. I hope you guys have a little bit of a sense of humor. I'm sure you do. This is music marketing for the DIY musician, and we're going to get back with some more execution strategies in a minute. Thanks so much.